Welcome to the StockMentor.com studios. I'm your stock mentor, Brian Johnson. A riveting day in the markets today if you were comatose. Really not anything going on as we limped into the end of the week. However, what are we seeing in front of us? Yeah, this looks like a low base formation, guys. Remember those high bases we were seeing back here? This was a nice high base. Failed formation, though. Did eventually get a push to the upside, but it was kind of an exhaustion type of a push here. Everything looks so much clearer in the rearview mirror, doesn't it? Amazing how that works. So now I think we're seeing a 1, 2, 3. I'm not so sure this isn't some sort of a triangle 4, sideways 4, whatever. Do not be surprised if we either A, start Monday down, and or B, within the first couple days of the week, maybe start heading downwards here and complete this particular wave. It looks like it's a nice solid impulse wave down. And we're below the moving averages. It's all setting up beautifully. We're setting up some very nice areas of support and resistance. And I think a break back below about that, let's call it 10,300, 10, maybe 275 for the more conservative, is going to give us a nice little push right down here into this area and possibly below. So that will be what we watch coming into next week. But let's recap what we saw this week, and that was really one day of trading. That happened to be Wednesday. Bernanke spoke on Tuesday, really didn't go anywhere, and then we had the gap down too. So this wasn't a run down necessarily. This was just a gap down. Once we got below these moving averages, though, you can see where it started to drop. So for those of you that got short, below my recommendation of 10,500 and or 10,400-ish down in here, did very well. We still made a little bit of money this week, and that is ultimately the goal. Make money in the markets. Now, the Dow is still hanging at and actually above the 50-day moving average. Not uncommon to see this, as the Dow is kind of the bigger lug of the lot and tends to take a little bit longer to make its larger moves. Just big companies, lots of stock floating around, so a lot of times it does take a little while to get this big old battleship to move one way or the other. Nasdaq on a 60 also showing us today the same type of consolidation. Staying below the moving averages on the 60. From a daily, you can see where we put in what could be maybe a potential reversal candle there. Very, very tough to tell. I'm not sold that the move is done. However, look at what we did do this week in the Nasdaq. We broke this major line of support here, absolutely crashed below the moving averages, and ended up down in this area by the time the week was over from way up here. That is a strong move by the bears, actually. In retrospect, you can see how while the other indices were a little bit hesitant to move, the Nasdaq wasn't hesitant at all. It didn't waste any time. In the Dow, in the S&P, maybe Wednesday was definitely our best trading day. As for the Nasdaq, there were opportunities on all of these days, but you can see we're down 100 points in the NDX by the end of all of this. From a weekly perspective, too, look what that does to the weekly. Puts everything in a whole new perspective. We will talk more about this weekend. From the SPX 60-minute, consolidating, still looks like a low base, still looks like we want to push lower. I would not rule out this 1060 to 1065 area. Matter of fact, I am loving it. Actually, I did just have McDonald's, so I guess I can say that. And I am loving it right down here between this 1060 to 1070-ish area. Maybe we see a little push below that, but I would expect to see maybe a push right down into this area come early next week. Holding the 20, 200's way up here now. Daily, you can see us the big move down on Wednesday, followed by 2 consolidation days here, holding that 50-day moving average. Notice that's what we did back here too. See how we broke below the 20, 2 consolidation days, broke below the 50, 2 consolidation days. Will this play out the same? Hard to tell at this point, but I think everything looks favorable at this point. I am now more neutral to bearish short term for sure. So let's watch and see if we get a move back down into here. I love this area for a move coming into next week. Those of you that got short below 1100, great job. We made some good cha-ching on that little move there. 20 points on that move if you've been following along. Did it take us a while? Yes, it did. Those of you that might have gotten short up here as well, another great place to see that. So good opportunities, and good chances to make some money this week. It took us a while. We really only got that one day. But we did finally see some moves in the markets. Now we're heading back down here. I'm looking at this blue line as possible support down in here. But notice how this is kind of a game changer. This little candle here engulfs both of these. That is a pretty strong engulfing pattern. Participation wasn't ginormous by any means, but it was still very good overall. VIX on a daily was also up, finishing 2% up on the day and finishing 20. Yes, I did say 20% up on the VIX for the weekly. So for the week, we're way up. For the week, we were way down. Totally confirming what we're seeing in the markets. This is good to see if you are looking for a very positive trend of some sort to happen. We could see definitely see some more bearishness coming into early next week, and we'll discuss that more on Sunday. Apple on a 60-minute also trailing down, a doobie-doo down all day long. Looked like we might have had a couple of turns, but look at this. Just weakness as the thing slowly bled out for the last day or two. From a daily perspective, we are still holding this 249 level. So we saw the thrust down, a thrust up, and now just kind of stale, straight across the board. However, Apple has got some work to do now. Why? Because we did close below the 20-week moving average. I'm going to give the Bulls, I'm going to give the Bulls a good week, though, to get that back up. I have... in most cases I would not, but because it's Apple, Apple's such a strong stock. It's fundamentally sound. It really is, a very strong stock. I'm going to give the Bulls a week. We'll see if they can't turn this around by the end of next week. FAS on a 60-minute coming down and sitting where? Right at support. Whew, man, sometimes those lines are awesome. They just work so well. So we had a lot of consolidation over the last couple days after the huge move down on Wednesday. Little bit of maybe opportunity into later in the day for trading, but really not moving anywhere at this time. From a daily, you can see the two little tiny candles we're putting in here. No reason to think that we can't see a little bit more move to the downside. That would coincide with what we're seeing in the markets as well. Here's the move up in FAZ for those of you that like to play it. Holding and pushing upwards very nicely off this 15 area. I talked about this 15 being strong overhead resistance when we were on our way up. Sure enough, Wednesday we see the gap up, push right to 15 bucks. Then the next day we get a gap above it, come down, hold it, run up, come down, hold it, run up, come down, hold it today, run up. 3 times we've pounded on this $15 mark, and 3 times it's held. So it's doing a good job right now of holding this high base formation. For those of you that have been taking trades down here at 15, that was your time to make some money on FAZ today. Taking a little bit of a bounce into the last few hours of the day off of the $15 mark. Beautiful trade. Watch for moves now up and above 15.50 coming into early next week. From a daily, you can see what we're bouncing off of. The 50-day moving average. Pretty cool how that happens. So right up to the 50, hold the 50, hold the 50, 2 days in a row. Got to be neutral to bullish on this kind of a formation. Still is a high base. Love the fact that it's holding the 15. So next push above 15.50. 16 I think is very, very possible. And any push above that, look right here. Don't have to look much further than that. That would be a very good target on for profits if you get into one of those trades from an intraday basis. That'll do it for this week's trading, guys. We had 1 day, but look what the formation did. Just as pretty as this was kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4. This was an ugly whatever this ended up being. Figure that one out. I don't care. Whatever. 5 up here at the top. This looks like a very nice, so far, clean 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a 5 down. So we'll see if that plays to fruition coming into early next week. Do not be surprised if we gap down ever so slightly on Monday. If it does not gap down on Monday, we will be watching these lower lines of support and or even overhead areas of resistance for trades early in the week. All right, have a great weekend, guys. I will be back with you again on Sunday.